And we should be. There we are. We should be live.
Oh yeah.
We should be live, guys. Well, welcome everybody. Finally back to the live stream. We're all over the Bunyan hangover, I think. We're almost a month out of that now. I've got the usual, myself, Skidder Kev. I got on the other end, Andrew from Eastern Made Wood Splitters. And in the middle,
There we go.
We got Tim,
COTONTOP3
or CT3. Everybody
There
should
you
know
go.
him. How you guys all doing?
Doing good, man.
Good. What was everybody up to tonight? Were you hunting, Andrew?
No, you know what we did? We went to a spot that's called Saunders Farm. It's a little spot, well, actually a fairly big spot, local to Ottawa, and it's they do a really cool Halloween park there, and we took the kids through there, me and Dad and Cindy and my sister, and took all the kids there, and they had an awful good time. They had a pile of fun there, so it was pretty cool. First time I've been to it, and it's literally just down the road from me, so.
That's how it usually goes. The closer the stuff is, you usually don't end up going there.
Mm-hmm.
You're always
right.
What were you up to, Tim? Are you guys hunting down there yet?
Yeah, bow season's in right now. Our rifle season comes in the Saturday before Thanksgiving. It's when Mississippi and Alabama both come in at the same time, and so that's kind of what I did today. I've been burning. We got a little bit of rain there earlier in the week. Had about an inch rain, so I had about 12 dump trailer loads of just debris from tree jobs, and so I started working it like crazy, burning it, and just kind of finished that up this morning, and then I went and filled up deer feeders and moved some cameras around and stuff like that, where I hunt at and everything. So, and then I went and looked at a job this afternoon too, and that I'm gonna be doing some work for here coming up. So that's about it. Ate supper and then hang out here with y'all, man.
Yeah, because you said you're an hour behind us, right?
That's right.
Central time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
actually 7 o'clock here. That's right.
You still got time to get supper in there.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. So
always got to make sure of where people are and get them in on. Make sure they're on the right time.
That's right.
Show up an hour late.
Well, I'm so used to it because I communicate with so many people and that are in the Eastern time zone. A lot of stuff that I do, and so it's just natural, like because I know y'all are in the Eastern time zone. So I mean, when you said 8 the other night, I mean it was just. I knew it'd be 7, so it just clicks right off. But I know some people though who missed the boat on it sometimes too. They're not used to that, and so it jacks them up, man.
Yeah, that's why I try to be, make sure everybody knows it's Eastern time, just so if they're trying to catch it, they can.
Oh yeah, that's right. Right.
So, do you want to explain a little bit that you do? You said you're burning some brush and chip. I guess originally, how originally your channel started?
Originally, it was a full-blown logging channel, logging heavy equipment, and I've worked for my dad since I was 12 for 38 years, and man, Dad's 76 now, and he just Dad's dad, you know what I mean? So I was ready to go a different direction, do something on my own. So about 4 years ago, I finally seen the light at the end of the tunnel and started kind of steering in a different direction. So now I full-time residential tree care, tree removal work, residential and commercial both. It doesn't matter to me, whichever. And so I hammer it out, man. I spent a lot of time on the route, on the lift, taking stuff down and, hauling it off and what have you. And I'll do a lot of chipping too.
Yeah. So are you burning a lot of your chip then? I noticed the one time you were, that's got to burn forever.
It depends on what it is. If I bring raw chips where it's just chips and they're good chips, I pile them to compost is what I do. And then I have landscapers that come in here after it's kind of compost down and started to rot, and I'll sell it. And so if it's dirty chips, if it's got some real bad mixed stuff in it and everything, I'll put it in the fire and burn it. And it actually burns pretty dang quick when you get a good hot fire going.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's the key. The got to get the heat. The leaf blowers going.
There you go. That's exactly right. Usually, what I'll do is I'll start it, and I'll set a leaf blower on each side and crank them up a little bit, and it'll turn into an inferno quick, fast, and then they hurry, man. You can burn the green stuff really quick like that, man.
The leaf blower is almost as good as a tire sometimes.
It is. I mean, it is. You can get it going and let her eat, man. I mean, it just rolls, man. This stuff. So, but yeah.
Tires are only for the dark, Andrew.
Then the next time, the next good rain we got, I got to burn a bunch of stuff up at the camp. There's one spot they put a road into the camp there and pushed a whole pile of cedars and stuff, a good sized cedar, over the bank and left it there. And I think one time they tried to burn it, but that was, that had to be 20 years ago they did that. Oh, so there's probably half a tandem full of cedar poles down there that I got a bird. So I'm just waiting for a day that it's really, really, really wet before I do that.
You almost need like that 3 inches of wet snow and then let her up.
I threw a pile of prickly ash and dirt on top of there, so hopefully it doesn't go too bad. But I'd imagine it won't last long.
Yeah. We got Firewood at the front. He was already checking out the shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Nice to see you around, Brad. We got Daniel Axon, Richard, Brad Lloyd. Did you get the or Brad? He blew a circular saw the other day on his 4000. He had to run up, and you guys happen to have one in stock up there.
Yeah, I think it was a 44-inch. It must be an earlier 4000 to have a 44-inch blade on it. So
44, 40.
Yeah, I know it was an oddball size that we don't carry. Like we have them, but we don't use them anymore, right? So
probably worked out for you getting rid of it.
Oh yeah, worked out great. Yeah. Really good.
Knock the dust off of it and send it out the door.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. I saw the old blade. Brad says it was a 40-inch.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought, because ours was a 44, I think. It was a 17, I believe. 16 or 17.
So Brad's didn't cut right around that 18-inch mark. I know the early ones we did, we were trying to run a smaller blade on them just to get a little more speed out of them. But with the new machines with the saw teach, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We got Stevie in tonight. He's got a question for Tim. Being you was in the logging woods running equipment and not as much on the saw like you are now, did you make the change back to the handwork because you missed the hands-on like now?
No, it was a couple of different reasons. Number one, mainly the challenge, because when you're in the woods, we're cutting thousands of trees a day and the machines are handling them all. So, I mean, you're just sitting there running joysticks. And so now doing the takedown work, every tree is different. It's a dissection or whatever, when you're working over a house, you're working over a fence, you're working over a swimming pool. And so you got to figure out how to rig, every piece down and get it down without destroying or tearing up anything on the ground. And then, so that aspect right there. Number two, working for myself. You work for yourself. That says a lot right there. I mean, it's because it's a whole different world out there to be explored when you're on your own working for yourself. And it's just the people who do it understand it, get it. The people who want to, they don't really understand it. They're scared to do it and what have you and all. And, and I was too. I mean, it took me forever to make the move and I did. And I'm not looking back. And then number three, the money. Basically now in under 2 months, I have make what I was making in an entire year working in the woods. So all those things kind of grip together. Is what it is for me.
Yeah, you got a fair bit of equipment now, as well.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
How's that spider lift you got? Is that one yours too, or is that just a
Yes.
rental? It's yours.
No, that was mine. I rented some lifts for a little while to figure out what I wanted. Because there's a lot of different brands out there and a lot of different makes, and they all work a little bit differently and what have you. And so I kind of figured out through renting, process of elimination, what I liked and what I didn't like. And I want to go even one more step further than what I've got as far as that goes. But so yeah, I've got that. I got the chipper, the mini excavator, and the Rotobec grapple and all that stuff. And I mean, you get it with the Rotobec, and 90-something% of what I do, I do by myself, solely by myself, and everything.
That grapple's got to that's like having an extra guy, right? It's really, you can feed a chipper with it.
Yeah,
it saves you a lot of work.
Yeah, the grapple runs about $15,000, and of course they're built right up there in Quebec and Saint Justine, up above y'all. And man, people they'll ask me what it costs, and I'll tell them, and they're like, "Man, that's a lot." I said, "Yeah," but I said, "You can't. You got to understand, you can't really afford not to have one in the tree world, because it makes things so just crazy efficient, you know what I mean, and stuff. So, and it handles firewood great. I mean, I can load a trailer load of firewood. I mean, just a little bit of time, just reaching in a pile and just grabbing it and just taking it straight onto the truck or the trailer, too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing. Loading the trailer, feeding the chipper, doing whatever, right? It's
anything, handling poles, it does not matter. Just whatever, brush, debris, demolition debris, it's whatever. And so it doesn't really matter.
So
Dad had a couple of Rotobec loaders. He had a couple of Elite 80s when they first came out, and then I forget what the big one he had on the Slasher. But he was he went and picked up a loader there years ago for one of his first trucks in like the early 90s, and he said the difference in Rotobec in 10 years there was just astounding. He said like when he went there first time, it was a shop about the size of ours, and I went there when I was a kid, when I was probably about not 12 years old, so it would have been or late 90s sort of thing, and the place was huge. It was almost the same size as the town.
Oh yeah,
it's incredibly impressive to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they build there, and they build now. They build in Groveton, New Hampshire, and Littleton, New Hampshire. Both they got 2 facilities in each of those towns right there too that they build at. I've been fortunate enough to go to all 3 facilities, with them. And in early days, Rotobec starting out just like everybody else, you learn, figure out engineering, you get better and better, as time goes, and that's what evolving is. So when it started out, their stuff was kind of so, but like you said, in 10 years, man, they've had the right people in the right places and the right engineers, and they just capitalized on it like crazy,
Yeah, sure. We got Ricky's in the house. Good evening, Andrew and Kev.
Hey, Ricky.
Derek, Easton may be the king of firewood without a doubt. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just a story to kind of back that up a little bit about Easton Made, man. I had seen Andrew at a show. I believe it was at Bunyan the first time, and seen his stuff.
It was either a Bunyan or a Bangor. I know the first time I remember talking to you, we were in Bangor.
Right. Yeah, and that was in Bangor because you were set up almost across from the Rotobec stuff there. And
we were right there.
Oh yeah, and you were running that 395, cutting that pile of wood up over there. Man, I was wanting to run that saw so bad and stuff to cut some of that stuff up, but I wasn't sure how you were going to receive me. You know what I mean? Like when I come up and talk to you, and stuff. And so I just I think that second day I just kind of eased up there a little bit and just kind of, got warmed up and all, and because I mean, you can spot quality, or I can spot quality from a long way away. And I was just watching those splitters run, and I walked over and I walked by there several times, and I was looking at the rams and how you had them set up and everything, and the cylinders and the return stroke on them and all. And I get that stuff. I'm a hydraulic guy, and so then I I ended up doing a whole video with you, and everything over there and stuff.
And, and it was the craziest thing, because I think it might have been a year. I think I had met you before that one time when you did the video, and I got talking to you briefly or whatever. I got talking to you for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and I was so I couldn't. It blew my mind that you did YouTube.
Oh yeah, well,
I completely and totally baffled. I was talking to the wife. I'm like, can you believe this guy is making logging videos and making money off of YouTube?
Right.
I was completely and totally blew my mind. Me and Stacey were talking about that today, and she said, "Oh yeah, I remember seeing Tim at the show." And I'm like, you're like the first YouTube guy that we actually ever talked to. It was just such an eye opener, I guess. I can't believe this guy actually does this and does that good of a job of it. Like, it was like I couldn't believe it.
And I traveled everywhere with Rotobek for several years there. I mean, we went all over the place. I mean, I was from Bangor. We were up in Canada. I was over in on the West Coast over there with them in Oregon, and just Arkansas here. It did a ton of work for them. And I still sell about 4 or 5 of those mini PC grapples like I run on a week for them. I mean, just crazy. Oh yeah, it's nuts. But I wasn't sure, because I'm a Southern boy. I got a Southern accent. And y'all are from Canada. And everything. And I wasn't sure if you'd even talk to me or not. Or anything, man. But it ended up being pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, we like it was completely and totally amazing for us. Like it was really cool. I've never, that was the first time I've ever run into that, and it's like I can't believe this this is the way that it is. Since then it was a really big thing, and I end up the next guy I kind of worked with that got me into the YouTube thing, and the guy's name, his channel is the Wooded Beardsman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah.
So the Wooded Beardsman, Chris has got a huge channel. I worked with him on a splitter one time. He ended up buying one, and I went up there and dropped it off. And we got talking to him. I'm like, how in the hell do you get into doing this? He's like, you just have to kick the horse. You just have to.
That's right.
You just have to keep going at it until it works, and you have to have interesting enough content that somebody else wants to come back and see the next go around, right? So.
Mm-hmm. It's I tell people simply, it's like baking a cake. It takes a lot of different ingredients, and no one ingredient will make the cake by itself, but all of it put together will make it taste good, and and make a cake, and that's kind of what it is. I mean, personality plays a big part in it, and how you kind of come over to the audience, and the people who are watching, and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. For sure. And it's not as, you're basically talking to yourself.
Correct.
When you're looking at a camera walking, you're literally talking to yourself.
Yeah. I'm to the point where, I got the camera, and it's like, I'm so far past that. I'm just like, even when it's nobody but me, I'm talking to you two, it's like I've got the people right there with me, and everything. Yeah. And I know I've had people walk up on me and think you are some stupid idiot. What the heck are you doing, man? And stuff.
Yeah, you lost your mind. It's funny you say that about talking to yourself. We had a Thanksgiving dinner here last weekend. We were in Ohio, and we missed a weekend. So we had our Thanksgiving dinner last weekend. Uncle Lionel was there, and Uncle Lionel's 88. And I showed him. I have a video of putting a log lift in Uncle Lionel's old wood splitter for him, and he's like, "You just talk to the camera like that, just like you're talking to somebody else. You're just like Max Keeping." Max Keeping's one of the old news anchors from the CJOH News Channel 13 News here, and he's like, "You're just like Max Keeping." How do you do that?
That's crazy. Crazy.
I just want to, before we get too far, say hello to my buddy Brutus. He's I forget where he's in New York, I think he is. So just give him a hello. I know I was talking to him during the week. But we got, where are we here now? Back River Firewood. Sad deal, just got word that Blockbuster is not building any more new processors. They're just going to carry parts department for the machines they have built in the past. Yeah, he's retiring. Or basically,
I think that was kind of the deal there. I can't. I think that lad's name might be Tim too. Maybe I can't. I met them a couple of times, didn't talk to them a whole lot, but Blockbuster built a hell of a good machine, and like trying to get parts and stuff now is like we weren't too bad till about 5 or 6 months ago, and it's like pulling hen's teeth now. Like the simplest, stupidest stuff that you would think you'd have no problem finding, or like you'd have even stuff you've had purchase orders in for months and months and months. It's just cracky to get stuff.
Yeah, it seems to be starting to get a little bit. Well, we had to order a steel tube, one of the steel tubes going the remotes on the SVL 90 Kubota. None in Canada. 2 dealers had them, but they weren't sure if they were sitting on the shelf or not. He said order it. Had to come from Japan. And that took Monday they put the order in. So Tuesday morning they would have got it, and we got it Thursday.
We live in a different world now.
Thursday the next week. Sorry.
No.
We live in a very different world now.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It definitely keeps things interesting for us, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I've got a pretty awesome parts. Mike and Steve and Jamie and those guys do a great job of keeping stuff rolling or doing their best to anyways. So.
Yeah. Stevie, he says he's got a hot rod of a 395 you enjoyed to run, Tim.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Stevie's all time monkeying with saws and souping them up and everything like that. And I don't have any that are just truly, hot rodded or souped up or anything. But I love running with guys that when they bring them and I get to run them, that are souped up and everything. I like running them.
So I wrote this one down as we were talking. What's your favorite saw? Because I know you run both major brands.
Yeah, I do. When I worked for Husqvarna for a long time too, and everything, but my hands down favorite saw that I run is the Steel MS 400C. It's a 67cc saw. It's a carbon copy of a 362, which is a 59cc saw, but it's got the balls that the 362 does not have for the same weight. They put a magnesium piston in it, and the magnesium piston is ceramic coated. It's snow white, and the thing runs like a scalded ape. I'm telling you, and it don't. Full of gas and oil with a 25-inch bar. It weighs 18 pounds, 6 ounces. So for the power and the weight, I run it in the tree a lot when I'm hanging from a rope or we're doing crane work or something like that. It's really light. It's easy to crank. And that saw there, now there are a few things about it that I'm not crazy about on the steels, like the gas and oil caps and the air filtration on them and stuff like that. But I mean, hands down, that's my favorite saw. I can kind of overlook that other stuff a little bit on it, but I really like that 400 dude.
Yeah. Do you got the new 592?
I've pretty much got them all. I got the 592 in March, I believe it was, and I've got it, and of course I've got a 661. The 592 is it's a absolute beast of a saw. I run it. I have a long bar on it, and on it and the 661 both, and I use them on big cut down stuff or something like that, and then I usually put them down pretty quick. I'll run a few tanks of gas through them and stuff, But the 592 has a version 3.0 auto tune on it, and it don't have a choke on it. It's not fuel injected or anything, but it generally is going to crank cold on either the first or the second pull every time. I mean, it's nuts how it cranks, and it's just It's a torque monster of a saw. I mean, it's just crazy what that saw will run and what it'll do. But it comes with a pretty good price tag too. Here in the U.S., it's over $1,500, for that saw with a 28-inch bar and stuff. And I'm sure it's much more than that up there where y'all are at.
Yeah, that's going to be over $2,000 for us.
Doing
the conversion, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen any in the store yet, but in the dealers yet. But I'm guessing they'll be well into the 2,000 for us.
Mm-hmm. The saws got hard to come by. I mean, especially pro saws. I mean, it didn't matter whether it was a 572, a 550, Husqvarna, or even the 592. There's been people waiting on them things forever. And the steels, man, holy cow, they got hard to get too. And but I pretty much got all the pro saws. I've got every one of them except for like a 3120 and an 880 steel. I don't have either one of them.
Yeah. My buddy, he just traded in his 572 for a 500i for another 500. So now he's got two of them, but he's cutting bigger timber. Like he needs that 500.
Mm-hmm.
And he's young and full energy too. So
right.
It's funny you say that. We used to work in the bush years. We had 440s and 460s, and the 460s, the 440s ran an 18-inch bar on them, and the 460s ran a 20-inch bar on them. And when you were limb trees and working on the bush, you wouldn't think there'd be that big of a difference between those two saws, but you knew at the end of the day which one you were swinging. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. Like I do this chainsaw classes and stuff, and it's a man thing. They want the biggest and the baddest thing they got. And you don't necessarily need a saw, a big saw. A 395 or a 592 or 661. Or anything. You just, something to pull a 60 cc saw or even a 50 cc saw is fine for most everybody. And I want to make. My thing is I want to make as much money as I can in a day. And making money means running a saw. And the longer I can run a saw during the day, the more money I can make. And I can't run a 592 all day long. It gives me out. 661 gives me out. Dang, and they piss me off when I throw the chain off a long bar, a 36-inch bar and stuff, And so I'm like,
you're absolutely right.
I'm grabbing the other saw and we're gonna buck it up with something smaller, and everything. But
and a whole lot more teeth to file on that saw. And
good God, man!
At the end of the day, it's not quite as much fun.
No, it's not. It's not as sexy as people think it actually is when they got to do the maintenance on.
That's for sure.
Right.
Or buying those bars and buying that chain, and it's just getting expensive. Yeah.
I ran over my 562 there. Fell to the back of the truck, and Justin was driving. We're run over top, but so got the handlebar and the brake on, and it's going into deer season. So I'm doing all this brushing. I got it on my 372 to do all the brushing. It's just not quite the same. Just leave the excavators there.
Yeah. So Ohio Logger was saying, got to talk to CT3 about 3 or 4 years ago at Bunyan. I was and didn't know what to say, but after about 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah, that was probably the last time you were. That was probably when I saw you down there too.
Yeah, that would have been in 2017, I believe. Yeah. And it's it's kind of funny because I'm just me. I'm just like y'all or these people who are watching.
Yeah.
And I've attended all these different shows with these different companies, whether it's Rotobeck or Husqvarna. And, often people come up and they can't even get the words out, it's just, it's crazy. And I'll see people kind of standing back, or something, when I motion for them to come over. I'm easily approachable, and everything, but I'm just me. I just happen to use a camera and I post stuff on YouTube, and everything.
Yeah, I agree. That's same with me. Everybody's who I met at the show, and same with Andrew, like like everybody else.
It was actually really funny at Bunyan there. I'd be talking to somebody and say, "Oh, geez, it's really great to meet you, but I really want to meet Skidder Kev. Have you seen him around?" He's like right there. Oh
Right
my
there.
God, Skidder Kev.
Yeah.
That was that West Virginia phone number that came up on my phone. I'm like, this better not be for car insurance for the extended warranty.
Oh man, it's good stuff. The shows getting out, mixing and mingling with people is my favorite thing to do. I love that. I love being able to to like give people an opportunity to where they can come up and just visit for a little bit. That's good stuff.
I had a complete and total blast at the Paul Bunyan show. It was so great to talk to everybody and see everybody, and everybody's got a different story. I could sit there and talk to people all day. I just absolutely love it. And the people, great people. Like it was, I had a great time. I haven't had that much fun in a long time, so it was really great to get out and see people.
Yeah,
I need to pencil it in and go to Bunyan next year is what I need to do. I need to get back up there and go to that show. It's good stuff. That's probably one of the best logging shows that I've ever been to. It's just a lot of old school type stuff, and I really like that.
Yeah.
That's good. What was the logging
you'd
show?
be a pretty good haul coming out of Mississippi to go there, though, are you?
What now? Yes.
You'd be a pretty good haul going up there, eh?
Yeah, it's about 750 miles for me from here to get up there. And but what I'll probably do is I'll probably jump on a plane next year, and I'll just keep that part of my schedule open and just come up there and go to it. There's some other shows that I want to go. I'm going to one here in a couple of weeks. The tree care industry show is in Charlotte, North Carolina coming up. And for tree care stuff, it's the biggest show that they have. All your big tree care companies, the Canadian stuff, they'll all be there and everything.
Yeah, that's a TCIA show. Is that what they call that?
Correct. That's correct. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You got to talk to them and you got to get them to change. I wanted to go to that one for years, Tim, but it falls right into whitetail season and we can't do that.
Oh, yeah. I understand. Last year it was in Indianapolis, Indiana. That's where it was last year, and I drove up there to it. And then this year it'll be over in Charlotte, so I'll be going over there to it and everything. But yeah, it's a good show. Like I said, the shows are all good, man. You mix and mingle with everybody,
Do you got Con Expo?
Yeah, Con Expo will be this next year. That'll be a big one. And I've already got some things in the works on it already right now coming up. And so that'll be a big deal too.
Yeah, that's one show I'd love to go and check out. That's for sure. You
need to schedule, 3 or 4 days easy on that to do it, because insane don't even describe that show and what it's like. It's because it only happens every 3 years, and I mean it's unbelievable what all shows up at that place, man.
Yeah,
and where's that one?
It's in Vegas. Is where it is. They have it in
I
Vegas.
thought Con Expo was in Vegas. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's even in 3 days. You can't even walk it, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, 3-4 days you can't cover it all. It'd be impossible.
Yeah.
It's in like 3 different locations too. I mean, it just goes and goes and goes. But I mean, if you're in the construction, it doesn't matter what it is construction wise, it's there. I mean, all your big monster cranes, I mean, gigantic cranes that's got 400-foot booms, they'll have them there, and they'll be, put up, and everything. And like Caterpillar, they'll have all their big machines there, I mean, it's crazy what they pull no stops back. All the big boys are there for that thing.
It's amazing how much work they can get done, to get a show together like that. We go to a trade show like for fabrication stuff down in Toronto, and they have like all the big equipment set up down there under power running, and like I know how big of a job it is like set that stuff up. I've done it, and it's just to see it all set up, all wired, all running, and it's just mind-boggling the amount of work it would actually take.
Oh yeah. the people attending that are not involved in that, like the setup and the tear down and stuff, they have no clue what it takes to pull one of those shows off, man. I mean, it is just the amount of work that it takes to set everything up and get everything done and ready for the crowds and stuff to come in there. And then when it's all said and done, then everybody's gone. You're still there for several hours and something like the Con Expo for days, tearing everything back down.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like some of the excavators they're coming in on 4 or 5 trucks. Like they're assembling a massive excavator.
Like the Con Expo, they've got like lay down yards, like yards that are off site, and they'll start having equipment come in like 3 or 4 months to those sites before the show's ever ready to get going, because everything has to be done in sequence. So somebody up front can't set their booth up first and block somebody up from the back. And these, some of these machines weigh hundreds of thousands of pounds, so everything has to be choreographed to where it gets in and out, to where there's no traffic jam, or anything.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even that is just amazing compared with the show, everything there, but what they go through to do that, and people that organize that. The show ends and they're already starting.
Right, that's right. Yeah. Exactly. And that's why it's 3 years in between the dang thing, because it takes that long to get it going, and all.
Yeah, for sure. We got Bionic Life. Good evening, guys. Saw Kidder Skev mentioned doing maple syrup in one of his Bunyan videos floating around. Do you still do syrup? We do sometimes if we're a little bit slower in the spring, but if we're busy, it gets kind of on the back burner. It's kind of more of a fill time up, fill a week up or whatever. We'll do a little bit, but the boss has got lots, so it's on the back burner and Firewood's on the front.
And Kev, the ghost pepper syrup was really good. I know he was wondering if it was good or not. Kevin, the Bionic Life there, he gave me some ghost pepper maple syrup when we were down at the show there, and it's pretty delicious stuff. It's right up there with the bourbon maple syrup.
That's crazy. That dunk tank of maple syrup, that was crazy too.
I bet you I could have thrown another 100 baseballs and not have hit that thing. I'm sure.
The kid chirping. Yeah. I bet you got a spaghetti arm.
What's funny is each time I'm up that way, whether it's Canada or the Northeast up in there, I always end up with a lot of that's kind of a gift that a lot of people give or a lot of people send me, and I have a cabinet in there full of it, man, and that stuff is dang good too, man.
Oh, it's just like currency around here.
Right.
That's 100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
We got Stevie. He wants to port his 592, or is going to port his 592.
Mm-hmm. So, y'all two are both Firewood guys. You cut it up and sell it, Kevin, and Andrew, you make the processors and the splitters that do it, and I know you sell some too, because I mean you got to all the videos that you make and you splitting it up, just constantly splitting it up there at your manufacturing facility. But here typically we don't get that cold, but we kind of went through a circle, and we went through where there were people still burning firewood here. Some outside boilers that heated water and circulated it back through the house, that kind of thing like that. And so now we're going back in a circle where, propane, stuff like that has gotten so high. Heating cost is so high. There's a lot more people that have went back to burning wood here than what it was, and so you're seeing a lot more firewood moving, and predominantly I move a lot of rounds. There's a lot of people here who have just splitters like the Tractor Supply type splitters or Northern Tool type splitters, the $1,000, $1,500 splitters, 20-ton models, and they buy the heck out of rounds from me, and I like to sell them. But I'm gonna have to have me a splitter here for much more longer and everything. I'm gonna have to get me an Easton Mace. What I'm about to do.
Oh, you let me know and I'll look after you.
Oh yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
gotta, it's funny you say that, Tim, because we've noticed that too. Like, because we've been doing processors for probably 13 or 14 years now. We've been doing them quite a while. So like, we've seen as fuel prices rise, like people will go to home heat. Like that'll be the market a lot of guys try and target. And then as the economy rises, like you get more into campgrounds, you get more into pizza ovens and
Sure.
barbecues and stuff like that. And then as it goes the other way, it goes back to home heat. So it's like with my experience of it, it's kind of a really, really interesting thing to see how a firewood producer's got to be dynamic with it and kind of follow the trends, right? So
Right. and that's the thing. Like I said, it's coming back around here a lot more than what it used to be, and it's just because of fuel prices and everything, what things cost to heat, and you can heat and the firewood is just a byproduct of what I do. I've got so much wood down there right now. It is unbelievable. That's ready to split, and everything like that. Just tons and tons of it that I pile down there,
Yeah. You've got that cone splitter now too, right? You crack some of it open.
Yeah, I got it to bust the longer stuff if I want to just completely chip something on site,
Yeah.
I can just split the whole tree if I need to. But the biggest thing was like those gigantic rounds. I mean, I'm constantly taking trees down that are 50, 60 inches diameter. And you start trying to wrestle those things around and get them in a daggone tractor supply splitter, dude, it'll about kill you, man. I mean, you got to take the machine. So I can take that, I can take the screw and go ahead and bust them, quarter them up, and it's just effortless, on the mini, just sit there and split it. And there again, that screw, I waited on that screw from January to August.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It took that long to get that thing. They couldn't get the cones for them. They had to drive, but they couldn't get the daggum cones,
The most important part.
The most important part. Yes.
Yeah.
The most important part. And so, that's but I've got it now, and I can throw it on the machine real quick and bust that giant stuff, if I need to.
Yeah.
And it's the cool thing about it, it doesn't matter if I screw into the face of it or the side of it or diagonally, however I can get to the piece, and I can just bust the heck out of it,
Yeah. I'm gonna carry on with this, but we got Firewood of the Furnace, bourbon maple syrup. Tell me more. And the man that got dunked, Bissell Maple Farm. He's the guy that they had the booth at the show.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah.
Yeah. There he is.
I am here. Right on. I wonder if there's still maple syrup coming out of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we got our good pal, Gord. Really like your channel, Tim. I have learned a lot from it. Appreciate the details you include for us folks learning how to operate saws.
That's pretty cool. I get that a lot right there. And that's the thing, man, is just you can use your channel to educate, and a lot of times you're educating people and you don't even realize that you're doing it. And because I go to YouTube is such a cool avenue or place to go to learn anything that you want to learn. And I go to it to learn stuff constantly, daily, almost, and there's other people out there that do the same thing. And he mentioned chainsaw. Well, chainsaw, first of all, you can't go to a dealer and quote test drive a chainsaw, and they sell it to you. And most of the dealers, God help them, are dumber than a sack of bricks. They're just making a sale, so there's no instruction. I mean, people don't know what to do. They don't know about the chains, don't know about the files. I mean, like y'all and me. That's just second nature to us. We know what's going on there, but the mass majority of people don't, and so it's a huge avenue. I mean, my chainsaw videos are getting wore out in views right now. The fall are really big for them, because firewood, people
Yep.
cleaning up and doing things like that.
There's-
You know,
There's that overlap with channels, right? Firewood and then the chainsaws that you're
Sure.
doing as well, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. You're exactly right. And then, you know, the storms. We have the storms that come through there. All the ice
Yep.
storms up there. We have hurricanes, tornadoes, and stuff like that here. You know, and people are searching for information. You know, and to learn how to use them and how to run them. You know, and just how to take care of them. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we got Kent saying I would hear as old flattened on the ground now since Fiona. I'm telling you, we got an awful bed of carpet poplar laying down in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
It is unreal, Skitter Kev. You know, you get wood here forever. Yeah, I bet that poplar that will start rotting real fast too on the ground.
Yeah, it does. Poplar goes away quick.
Yeah, for sure.
It just kind of evaporates almost.
Yeah, you're right though. It does go quick. If it's sitting on the ground, forget it. It's done.
Right.
And we had where was the other one? My pal Brian. Hey guys, thanks for keeping this going. Hope one of these days we'll be able to hook up at the show. I hope so too, Brian.
I'm hoping
you guys are awesome over there.
Cool.
I'm going to have to block James. What is the best brand of saw? The only acceptable answer is still.
You had mentioned that earlier.
No.
I'm not sure if I can watch a live stream with three Husky guys.
If you want to start a fight on the channel, you just favor a brand of chainsaw, man. You were talking about no political stuff. Dave, that's right there. I should have mentioned that we don't need to talk about what saw's best or anything like that. Because, dude, I'm telling you, man, them folks, they are diehard steel people, and they are diehard hustler, and they will kill each other. I'm telling you, they will kill each other, man. And that's why I run both. I got tired of getting shot at, you know, and everything, man.
I swear, some people go to these Facebook groups and it's like open up the door, they throw it in and they close it and just walk away.
Oh, yeah.
Let it just happen.
They throw gas on the fire and then leave, man.
Yep.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
It's crazy, man.
I had to bite my tongue pretty hard there. I had a good one, but it crosses paths there. So.
Oh yeah, and then you have like Mike down there just asked, "What about Echo?" Poor old Echo kind of comes in on the tail end. It's like the redheaded stepchild of chainsaws almost, you know. And it, you know, they're good saws and everything, but they're you know, and I mean I like them too, you know. But you'll have them every now and then. They'll come in and somebody will say, you know, what about Echo? You know, do you got any Echoes? I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I don't have any Echo products, man. You know.
Yeah. Oh, that's too funny. So James has got another question. I'm going to add on to this. Okay. Tim, did you ever end up getting a splitter? And sorry if this has been answered already. Just joined. My question. So you did just talk about that. You haven't got one yet. What do you see happening in your future for the firewood? Like, you just said it's growing there. Is that how you want to go? Like getting more into selling larger quantities of firewood?
I would like to do bulk stuff is what I would like to do. And, you know, like, because it's a byproduct off of what I do. So I want to maximize my return on what I do. So I price a job. I go in there. I get paid for the job. I also film a video. I put it on YouTube. I make money off the videos and everything. Then I bring that byproduct home, whether it's the chips or the wood, the rounds or the logs. And then I go out there. If I don't have anything to do, I'll go out there and I saw them up. I cut them up. And then I want to sell the rounds, or I want to sell split wood or whatever. I want to get more into the split wood. The thing with the split wood is you've got to have something that will produce. You can't, like, you can do it with a Tractor Supply splitter or a Northern Tool splitter, but you're not going to do it like you're going to do like with an Easton Mate or something like that, with a 1228 or something of that magnitude, where you can just feed it through there and then add a conveyor to it on top of that, to where you're discharging it away from you and pyramiding it up in a pile. And that's what I want. I have people buy a lot of camp wood, things like that, and I just want to have it here on hand when I get the call, and then when I want to run it, I can make production. I'm not out there screwing around, like spinning around, splitting it one time, spinning it, splitting it, spinning it, splitting it, and then throwing the daggum thing out of the way and having a hassle like that. More of a production and kind of the way I do the tree work.
Yep.
It's a pretty drastic difference. If you go from like a box store, like Northern Tool, or like a standard splitter like that, up into one of the commercial ones, you're gonna see probably a 4 or 5 times increase. I guess.
Sure.
What takes an hour, you'll do in 10 or 15 minutes with the commercial.
Sure. Comfortably. And that's what I'm after. That's my ultimate goal right there.
And is there going to be any commissioning in this, Andrew?
do what now?
I was just saying, is there going to be any commission in this, Andrew? I'm just kidding.
But see, on the flip side of that, my thing is too, I like to help self-made people like Andrew and everything. Is self-made, built a business, the splitters and stuff like that. And so I really gravitate toward people like that. Like, we've got a new guy here in town that just bought our oldest steel dealership earlier this year. And the guy that had it was an old school guy. He didn't understand social media and all that stuff like that. This guy does a little bit. And so I'm going to help him. He wants to become a multi-dealer franchise. And so I'm going to help him do that. And he's fixing to show enough gang up on the stock of stuff and everything like that. And so through my channel and stuff, I can really help push that big time, for him. And I like helping the self-made people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It's, like for that, you're still guy. It's a local guy too, right?
Sure. Right. Exactly.
And convenient. A lot of guys, they'll buy their stuff, whether it's Still or Husky, because that's the closest dealer they got, which is smart as well, right?
I really enjoy helping people out. I just to see somebody do well and see them grow and do the better. I think that's a part of this job that I do that I like so much. We've had lots of guys that have bought splitters 3-4 years ago. Now they're calling us up and buying processors, and it's just really cool to see these guys growing their business. Or we have lots of guys that have 3, 4, 5 splitters now because their firewood business is growing so fast. And it's nice to see people do that and see people do well. It just makes you feel good.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
It's just a big circle.
So
we're all in a circle. Go ahead, kid.
Yeah. I don't know why we're going choppy here. What is going on? We good?
Yeah.
You there, Tim?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm here.
We're good. Andrew and I are here.
Oh, yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
Is that on your side or my side? I don't know.
Andrew's messing with you right now is what he's doing.
No, I'm talking Tim. I know Andrew's messing with me. I'll just kick him out again.
Yeah. Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah. Too funny. Mike, Kev, you helped me tremendously when he does Clark 666. Thank you again, my friend. And I'm sorry that didn't work out as well as it should have, Mike. I know you had some trouble with that, but they're good machines. He just couldn't get his to cooperate. Where are we? We had Bissell here. Have to go. Bissell has to go. His wife is watching the Amazon series. The Wild. Uh-oh.
Lost plus Lord of the Flies and Orange is the New Black. Wouldn't that be something?
She's going to be... I thought that was Netflix, Orange is the New Black. That must be Amazon. I didn't realize that. Come on. Hello. What's going on here? Oh, no. What is happening here? There we are.
There you
Cottontop, your live oak is exceptionally heavy. Hardy Outdoor, Philly, Mississippi. Donated a stove for volunteer housing in Waveland after Katrina. The live oak was some heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What's your hardwoods that you got down there?
We got all your oak. We got oak, all of them. We got maple, we got poplar, sweet gum, hickory, black walnut. We don't have a lot of black walnut like what they have kind of north of us, you know. Pretty much about bodark, cedar, about all the hardwood. See, we still have a lot of ash here. We didn't have that. The ash borer did not make it down here to us.
Yeah.
And so it didn't affect our ash down here like it did up y'all's way, you know, and all. So we pretty much, and then all, you know, the pine and loblolly and stuff, we have all that too.
Yeah. I'm surprised you guys got off lucky without getting the emerald ash borer.
Mm-hmm.
It is a mess here, and that market is coming to an end, I think, in my eyes.
So interesting add-on to him talking about the Hardy heater. Hardy, they actually went out of business.
Yep.
They sold out. I guess it was last year or maybe the year before, and they were built about 90 miles from me. And there's a lot of people around here that had those heaters, and they were, you know, they heated the water inside of them and it pumped it back inside the house, you know, but yeah, they were built right down there at Philadelphia for years.
I think that's what Ohio Woodburner.
Joe has. I'm pretty sure Joe has a Hardy.
Stevie's got one as well. Pretty sure he has.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're cutting down, I'm guessing walnut, you would, those logs with value, are you trying to merchandise those, or do you?
Yeah, I do. Anything that I can take that I can merchandise, I will go ahead and take and haul it to the mill and do that. And right now we've been so dry that all of our mills are full. So what I've done is I've actually got logs. I've got a pond on the side of my driveway, and I've got logs in that pond right now to keep them green. And what they'll do is they'll weigh twice. When I fish them out of the pond with the excavator, they'll weigh twice what they weighed when I put them in there once they're soaked up with water. So this winter, you know, that'll be beer money and everything right there. So I'll haul them bad boys to the mill, you know, once the mill's kind of run up some of their inventory.
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, when do you guys ever get like a mud season down there? Like would fall and spring? No, you're going.
We can run year round here. I mean, we miss days when it gets rain because we're on clay, and it's like y'all being on ice up there. You know, it gets so slick you just can't do anything. So you just gotta let it dry out for a day or so, and then, you know, get back at it. But our ground doesn't freeze like y'all's does up there. You know, I mean, like water lines here. I mean, as long as they're a foot to 16 inches deep, you're fine. You're not going to freeze a water line here in the ground. You know.
Yeah, you guys had some trouble down there a few years ago, didn't you? Freezing lines.
We did. Yeah, we actually had some severe cold where it dropped down around zero, which is very odd for us. You know, and it's not odd for y'all up there. But yeah, there were some people it wreaked havoc on. I mean, it busted water lines everywhere, people's houses and stuff.
That'd be a mess for sure. Oh man, you were all right, weren't you?
Oh yeah. We didn't have no issues when we built our house here. The house we used to live in, we had some problems with it, and I made dang sure when we built this house here that we could get down to y'all's kind of cold up there, and we'd be fine here. You know?
The best way to do it, though. Better be safe than sorry, right? You never know the swing, especially nowadays. The swings are so drastic.
Exactly.
Yeah, like here where we are, like there's probably 2 months in the spring where there's really not a whole lot going on unless you're in high ground or running like on private or something that you're not going to tear it up. And then normally in the fall it's you get a mud season in the fall for a month or so. In the summer, if it gets dry, they shut you down, and it's a lot of downtime here for loggers. So.
See, we're lucky we don't get shut down, sort of say, or told we can't work as a true mud season. But yeah, obviously, if you're making a mess of the bush, they're not going to be happy and they'll kick you out, right? So
I think with the equipment that you're running too, you can get away with a lot better than if you have like a 748, or something like that going to the bush. You get into a hole and it makes a hole.
We can push it a little bit, but it's still the same. When we got breakup, most likely you got to shut down. But if it gets dry real quick, you can fire right back up again.
Yeah,
as well. Yeah. Brian was asking. So Andrew, you see guys going from splitters to processors. What should a guy do with a processor that needs to do more other than get a second one? What's the next big update?
I don't know how you'd make it more efficient right now, honestly. Like in terms of the processors, the processors are running a 3-second cycle time on them, and they're set up to run efficiently at that. Like if you're getting if you're getting anywhere from 2 to 4 full core an hour out of a processor, you're doing all right. I don't think it really matters what processor either to do that. Like obviously, there's going to be some days you're going to get more, have nicer wood, but I don't know what else you would do to make it more efficient, especially if you like the biggest thing would be setting your yard up in such a way that your yard is more efficient. I know we found that with like when we reorganized the shop and set everything up, like the biggest thing will probably be in very, very, very well organized on the other end of it.
Yeah,
you gain a lot.
It's like you said, and Brian's got a good setup there, but it's
Brian's got an awesome setup.
It's where our first year when we got the processor, we always brought our wood in one spot. Well, when we got the first 3,000, it was in the wrong spot.
Yep.
So you had to go around the machine, and that was 1 year. We figured it out real quick, and you spin and move your wood where you're getting it in. Be the same with, when you get into it, Tim. It's you're always one step ahead anyway. You know what's going on in your yard, but where you want your pile going out and being able to get your logs to it all the time, or dump trailer, however you're bringing them in.
That's right. It's all in the planning, constant planning, trying to figure out the best, where you don't mess yourself up. You do the whole job, Yeah,
we were lucky enough. We had enough room. We could get around the machine, but it was, it was a pain. You had to drive every log, had to loop around the machine, right? It was, that was the one and only time we did that. We figured out real quick.
Yeah. And Brian's been doing it for quite a few years. I think he had a 4,000 maybe before he bought a 60.
Yeah, that's right. He did have a 4,000. We got guys asking, Brad's asking, and Mike Peachy, wonder if the ash will ever come back as a beetle moves on to other places. There is lots of saplings and suckers coming up in the bushes. They are full. Whether they... There
you go.
Oh, now you're on the outside.
Do you kick me out, man, or what, Dave?
No, I didn't kick you out.
It just also just gone.
I thought you had to take a bathroom break or something.
No, no.
I'm like, he'll be back.
No, it just also just gone, man.
Oh. So will Ash ever come back? Yes, no, I don't know. It's one of those. You got to wait and see. What do you think, Andrew?
Honestly, I don't spend enough time in the bush to give you an educated comment on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a long time.
One would think it would regenerate, and
I think it likely will, because you see that with elm now, right? Mm-hmm. Like years ago when the Dutch elm disease came through, there were no elm trees left. Like now you're starting to see them come back. There's nothing, obviously, this time where you have any substantial size, or nothing like I think there would have been. But that's what I would think you'll see them come back as beetles move out and don't have anything to feed on.
Like there's lots of saplings coming up, like lots of whips and 6 to 12 feet tall. Like they're there. They're in the woods. So they're gonna come back. It's just, will the beetle piss off by then, or will they be have an immunity to it? Who knows? And hopefully the beetles don't go to anything else. That's I think the biggest concern. They get into the sugar maple or hard maples. That is going to be devastating. But I also had, and I always thought, you're geocaching. You still do that?
Not like I did, because the social media stuff takes all of my free time now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I bet.
And so I like that. I enjoyed, getting out, traveling, and doing that. But like I said, the social media stuff, YouTube is like having a garden or having a chicken farm or a pig farm. Yeah. You got to be there every day, all day, kind of staying on top of it, cultivating it, to make it run.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's your background. That's how you got your name, wasn't it? Or how you created your name?
Yeah. The name actually came from when we first got internet back in the mid '90s, and I was setting up my email, and I tried Cottontop with 2 T's on it, and it was taken. So I kept working with it. And at that time, Dale Earnhardt was still alive, then race car driver, NASCAR driver. And I was a huge fan of his. So that's it. That just came up, Cottontop3 with just 1 T in it, and that's where everything went. But the Cottontop actually originated from my granddad. He was real big into CB radios back in the 60s and 70s, way before the internet ever came along. So everybody had nicknames. And so I had blonde hair at the time. Now, if I let it grow out now, it'd all be gray, So. But that's where it came from.
Yeah, that's a cool story. I remember you telling that story. That was a long time ago. You told that story.
Right. Yeah. Been a while.
Yeah.
It sure has, and everything.
So with all these big logs you've been getting, do you ever think of getting a sawmill?
I have, but I also have dragged the green boards off a sawmill, like off a wood miser before. And I've been there, done that, and I got the T-shirt. And man, that's not a lot of fun. You know what I mean?
So you have your pilot's license then?
I have a pilot's license. I do, and I really don't want to. I don't want to practice using them again. And everything, because dude. Here's the bad part about a sawmill also, and I know it's like this up there where y'all are at. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got one of them things, man. I mean, they're everywhere. And if you can, I'm not going to say that I won't one day, but that'll be kind of one of the last things, one of the last routes that I go down would be a sawmill. But man, not everybody can do tree care or arborist work or take down, like a giant oak that's over $500,000 house and lifting limbs and things like that. Not everybody can do that. It's kind of like a doctor or a lawyer almost.
Yeah.
And so the sawmills, a lot of people's got them. So that market's saturated, and everything. And so it's hard to make it with those things around here because there are so many of those crazy things.
And it's funny you say that, because I've had people ask me to do different products or build this or build that or whatever. And my big thing is I'm not going to hop on the ring if I can't dance. I'm not going to get in there and not be able to do that much of a better job of it that I can charge for to be competitive at it. That's my big thing. I've had people ask me about sawmills and grapples and stuff like that, and like I don't think I could do it that much better. So there's no point in me trying. I don't think.
Well, your bread and butter is the processors and the splitters, and conveyors, and everything. That's your niche right there, is that. And that's what you're good at. And I mean, you're 14 months out on splitters right now. And I mean, hey, you can't, I mean, that's crazy, you know.
Yeah. Speaking about splitters, this question came in from Brian Willan. He wanted to know, did you ever come up with a name for the electric?
It is a 37E. So we have a 37D for diesel, a 37E for electric.
That's what you came up with? You haven't changed that name?
Creative. We got some dandies, though. I'll tell you, we got a pile of really, really, really cool names.
You know, that's something that people don't think about. You know, is like just like a number, like a model number for something. You know, I worked with John Deere on a project that we started in 2010, and they were flying me up to Seattle, and then driving me up to a suburb outside of Vancouver, Langley, up there where the factory was in BC.
Yeah.
And man, I was working with French engineers, the Canadian guys up there, and Japanese and all kind of other foreigners, you know, and everything, and like the simple stuff, like coming up with what model number are we going to number this machine, you know, and just all that stuff like that. And you sit there and you get to be a part of the behind the scenes stuff. And it was crazy. So I started working on that project in 2010. In 2015, I finally got to, they built 3 of the machines, and I got to run one live. And, you know, that they had at the factory right there. And then late 2016 or something like that, they went into production then, you know. So I got to see that whole thing all the way through, and just mind-boggling the amount of stuff that went on behind the scenes in the manufacturing process, the testing of it, and just the stuff that you would build. And Andrew, you can relate to this. You run it out there in the yard, it wouldn't work. Or you'd be like, crap, you know, we're gonna scrap it, you know, or whatever, you know, and everything. And so you run into that stuff like that, you know, and but I've been fortunate to be a part of a lot of cool stuff over my career, and been able to do why, I don't know. It's just worked out that way. I don't know, the right place, right time, I don't know, but done some cool stuff. And during that period, that's when the YouTube stuff was starting. They would never use me again because of the YouTube stuff. And the last time that I went up there in 15, they wouldn't even let me take my phone in there. I had to leave it in the, I had to, it was that serious.
Right, that's wild, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was serious business. So they were glad when that project was over, because they were, you know, with what I was doing, you know, they were constantly worried if I was going to spill something or let something out, you know, or whatever, you know, and stuff like that.
And it's kind of funny from a manufacturer's standpoint. Obviously, we don't have the same bureaucracy or corporate structure, but I have no problem taking anybody to the shop and showing them what's going on.
Sure.
I can absolutely guarantee you that every single one of my competitors is doing it almost the exact same way, because there's only so many ways you can do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally only so many ways to do it. Like, and if they haven't figured it out now, they're probably not much competition anyways. So
that's right.
No,
that's right.
And I'm sure you've read the comments.
Oh yes.
It's like, wow, you're copied, but everybody else's look the same. How is it copied?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that's crazy. What machine did it end up being?
It was a G series swing machines with Deere, like the 2154, G 2156, 3756, all those like that right there. And they had already built the D series. The D series, as soon as they put it on production, Then they started working on the G series, which is what they're still currently building today. And so it went all because that was final Tier 4 stuff.
Yep.
So the DEF engines and all that, the D series, it was still Tier 3, no regen, no DEF, no nothing. And so all that went to full final Tier 4, and also
And
it was a lot.
And on that end of it too, like with a company like John Deere having to do all that stuff on their own, like doing the DEF and the implementation, the emission stuff, that's tricky. That would be tricky stuff to implement. That would not be easy stuff. And on that end of it, like if you have a good system, you're going to have a huge competitive edge over anybody else in that front.
And one thing that I did that really focused on, that they wanted me to focus on, was the operator cab, and they sent me up to Dubuque Works in Iowa, and Dubuque, Iowa, and that factory is like 1.1 miles long from one end of it to the other, and that's where their virtual reality lab is there. And so I spent a couple of days up there sitting in a simulator seat. I was in a chair just like my loader seat on a platform, and they put a helmet on me. And what I did was I sat there, and when they turned that helmet on, it was just like I was sitting inside of the machine running it. And I sat there and loaded trucks and worked around through the woods, meandering through the woods, and they could move the cab forward or backwards, and they were trying to get everything perfect to where you could see completely. And you've probably worked with that on your processors, making sure you've got perfect visibility. And so that was a crazy deal up there at that place. I mean, I got to see a lot of behind the scenes stuff. It was just nuts, man.
That's kind of, because you said that was 2010 that started.
Yeah, that's right. 2010.
They were going and they knew they were going Tier 4 at that. I guess they would have known that would have been scheduled.
We knew fairly early, 2008, 2009. We were aware of what was going on.
Yeah, because the big trucks in 2008 were some of the first Tier 4 engines in 2008, and then the machines kind of trickled. And it had a lot to do with how many credits that you had and everything, and about and you could buy extra credits to where you could go even longer before you had to implement the Tier 4. And different engines had to fall in suit at different times, and that's the reason why I like the 6.8 liter John Deere kind of went away on the Tier 4 stuff, and the 8.1 liter went away, and it went to like a 9 liter because they couldn't clean the 8.1 liter up enough. It made more sense for them to go to the 9 liter, and just some crazy stuff. And the amount of money and the research was just
that's something that we found a lot. Like 10 years ago, you had options on engines, like depending on what size it was, what the torque curve was that you wanted. Like you had tons of options on whatever engine you wanted, size, everything. And now, like with Kubota, like most of them, like from 100 horsepower up to 150, 160 horsepower, it's the same engine, just doing differently.
That's right.
The exact same engine. Like I do the 115 that's on the 48C and 60Cs. You want an extra 40, 50 horsepower. The Kubota guy just goes and plugs it in. Where like back when it was back when it was mechanical injection stuff, that you didn't have the DEF. It was literally a different engine for every application depending on what you wanted. Yeah, and that's how we originally ended up with cats. Is we were running Isuzus, which were a really good motor. We were running them, but they were really expensive when you got up into that like 80, 90 horsepower range. And then we tried the John Deeres. The John Deeres were a huge motor. The John Deeres, we couldn't find a spot to put them on the machine. That's why we don't run John Deeres. We couldn't. The motor was so big, we couldn't fit it on the machine, keep it within width, and it was literally too big. Where the cat was same horsepower cat was compact enough that you actually put it on there. And then Kubota, the salesman came and seen me one time. He seen the YouTube videos a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And he came out of the shop at home. Have you ever thought about running a small Kubota on your wood splitter? I don't know. We can give it a whirl. We'll give it a try. That's kind of how we got caught up with those guys. They do a really nice job of it. So
those Kubotas you got on there now, they run that perfect. Like they're not working them at all.
No, like between that and the pumps and the setup of the hydraulic system, like it's light years ahead of a lot of stuff right now. Like a long ways, and it's a smooth running engine. We've had minimal issues with them and the implementation of them. The people that put them together for us, like. Because like for us to buy a motor, like we don't buy it from Kubota, we buy it from a distributor, and they implement it, put all the enclosure, all that stuff on, put electronics on. They're literally just buying the engine, like on the industrial end of it, the same as what we're doing. And Kubota, like the company, the distributor we're dealing with, Kubota, has a lot better implementation than what Cat did. So that's the biggest reason why we don't run the Cats now. And they're not the Perkins Cat or rock solid engine. Just when the company that implemented them just kind of cut corners on them, so that's why we don't use them anymore.
Well, from a manufacturer standpoint, there's a cost to everything, and the consumer oftentimes does not understand that. They're like, "Why don't you do this or why don't you do that?" But everything comes at a certain cost, and so you kind of got a sweet spot there for the best bang for the buck. So you're trying to figure out what's going to work best for you, for the consumer, where the costs don't get too much, but still works well and runs the machine.
Yeah, you really have to weigh out that the cost of what you're doing and the service end of it, and whether there's a value to the end user for it. Because there's lots of things we can do, but is it going to sell? Maybe. If it is it going to be too much? Is it going to be a service nightmare down the road for a guy if something does go wrong? Like we try to keep stuff as simple and as basic as we can while providing like cutting edge performance. I guess like the best performing equipment that we can do, and still have it be simple enough that a guy can work with it. Yeah.
Chuck's got a question. How hard is it to get the smaller Kubotas for your splitters?
When we first started, it was really tricky. Like it was a long process to get the ball rolling, to get the supply chain working and moving. Because when we originally, when we put the first one on, we did the first 37D about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Whatever it was, we did the first 37D, and it ran so well. And we did it with a piston pump on, and it was like a month or a month and a half later, we called Kubota. So we need this many engines, and they thought we were joking. We said no, like we really need that many engines, guys. Like we don't need like a couple. We need a lot of these engines. And I think at first, like they didn't think we were serious. We were a new customer for the company, and like no, we'll give you this many. It's like no, like these are sold engines. Like we need these engines. And that was probably the hardest part of it. It's the same with the 115s on the process. When we switched to them, we said like we're gonna need these many engines. Make sure you have them sitting there. And I don't think they really took it that seriously that we were going to consume that many of them that quickly. So now that we've established that relationship with them, it's a lot better, because it's not like we consume a lot of 902s compared to somebody building a zero-turn mower. But for somebody to kind of come in and say we need this many engines, I think it was kind of a shock to them. So
yeah, I could see that. They're like, who are you? Like at that point, you haven't bought one motor from them. Who are you?
Yeah, and that's essentially what it was. It's like you can't be serious. No, we need this.
So what is the splitters like that right there? Your 37D, 24D, 1228. Which one is your biggest seller of those splitters right there?
Honestly, right now the 37D.
37D is
it's out of the horizontal splitter, the 37D is the biggest seller right now, and it like in terms of performance and stuff, they're an incredible machine. Like in terms of the log splitter, it's so far advanced from what a lot of companies are running right now that it just performs so well, and it doesn't really burn any like fuel. Like James Paint will probably tell you, like they hardly burn any fuel at all, and it's an engine that you go from like the Vanguard you're rated for like 2,500 hours, the same as like a Honda or whatever. Where you got motor rated for 25,000, so there's a huge difference for somebody that's going to be running one commercially, right?
Yeah.
Well, they'd have them in little gen sets, right? They go
100%. Like, I mean, it's the same engine you'd see run like a reefer or whatever on a truck. Like they literally run non-stop constantly, right? Like in most applications that's what they do.
Yeah.
So like for us building a splitter that's so heavy and then have an engine on there like that, like a guy's not going to wear one out. Like you just you won't wear out a 37D. Like I don't think it'll happen.
No. How many? I'm sure it'd only be your like first round, like when you first started making splitters. Like how many motors have that you know of people have worn out?
Few and far between, honestly.
Unless it was a catastrophic failure or warranty or something, I'm guessing.
Very, 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 very seldom.
So
we've had like you got to think like a log splitter. You get a couple thousand hours in a log splitter. You got a pile of time on a log splitter. You got a lot of time. Like my JCB skid steer, I've had it for 3 years now. We run it every single day. It's got 2,100 hours. We run it every single day. So like to get that many hours on one, like
that's a lot of staying in there. A lot of staying in there.
Yeah.
Oh, it is 100%. Like big time. And like there's guys that would run them that much, but like it'd be few and far between. Like for somebody to be running an estimate like a splitter that much, like you're gonna have to be having, you're gonna be selling thousands of quarter wood a year to do that. And like we have customers that do it, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Jeffrey,
he's doing it by hand.
Yeah, like Jeffrey does a pile of firewood.
Jeff does a lot of firewood. Yep.
I didn't realize how much he did. I was talking to him, showed me 2 more loads coming in. I'm like, how much do you do? I couldn't believe the amount he does.
They do a pile of wood, yep.
Yeah, couldn't believe it. So you were, and I can't remember the hours because you had, was it a 2154 that you guys had on your machine?
Still got it.
Or you still have it? How many hours did you get on that first motor?
The first motor we got a little over 10,000 or so, between 10 and 11,000 on it, and then the one that's in it now, it's got more hours than that. The machine total's got around 23,000, a little over 23,000 hours on it. Which I mean, there's some of these wood yards. They run these loaders; they'll have 40 or 50,000 hours on them, and everything, but out in the woods or out in the bush, as y'all call it, 20,000 hours is a lot of freaking hours on a machine.
That's a pile of time on a machine. That's a lot. You're on a skidder, a log loader, you're getting a lot of hours on it.
Because that's a lot of abuse out there when you're out there in the woods, as opposed to being on a wood yard, running on it, But it's crazy.
Yeah, like a bigger engine like that, like something that would be running a log loader, skidder, something like that. Like we would normally bank on about 10 to 12,000 hours on a motor.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
That's what you would get on one before you had to rebuild it. That would be a reasonable expectation out of that. And like the rest of the machine around, like you're gonna have issues. Like Dad's I think Bill is still running a couple of Dad's old skidders. That was 5 years ago. Dad's skidders had 10, 11,000 hours. I think the skidders have 20,000 hours on them now. 22,000. They're out there, but it's one of those machines. It's built to run that long. Like you can change, you can service them, right? You can put a transmission on one. You can put U joints on one. You can put center pins on one if you had or whatever, right? So
that's right.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Here's like a typical working year at 40 hours a week. You're on 2,000 hours.
Yeah,
That's right.
If you're running 40 hours a week, right?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Which most equipment won't run that full time.
Yeah, we were running about 1,800 hours a year, on average.
Yep.
But and that's due to the weather, the rain, stuff like that. Because sometimes we get knocked out, sometime, or whatever. But it averaged out about 1,700 hours a year.
Yeah, wow.
I think like a lot of a skidder or a piece of logging equipment that's about where you'd be. Like Dad would always try and get. Like when Dad was shopping for skidders or log loaders or bunchers, he'd look for something around that 3,000 or 4,000 hour range. And bunchers were tricky too because like depending what undercarriage is in it, whether it's a heavier undercarriage in them or not. Like because like some places you go, like, I don't know what the terrain's like down where you guys are, Tim, but like it's like a rock pile up here. So if you don't have a heavy undercarriage underneath one of those, they're not gonna last. But like if you're somewhere where it's flat going or sand or clay where you're not playing on the rocks all the time, you're going to get away with that and have the longevity of it. You don't need something that heavy, right? So
right.
So James here, he's saying 37. He's had his 37 for 3 months. That's 10 hours on it, and taking him 30 hours to stack all the wood from it.
That sounds about right.
And Chuck said he'll break down before his 1222 does.
Happy that door, but.
And Jeffrey, we were talking about him. We do an average of 200 full cords a year. Our 2228 has 530 hours on it. So runs like new.
I don't think a lot of people realize that, that hadn't seen your splitters in person, just how well they're built.
Yep.
I mean, I've looked at some other brands just through videos, and I look at them and I think, hey, no, that's not gonna hold up long term. I mean, dude, the splitters that you got, I mean, they're built like tanks. I mean, you've got the Mack truck of wood splitters. I mean,
and that's what we've tried to do. Like that's kind of the brand that we've tried to use, like a Mack truck. You get a Mack truck, you buy something else that's 450 horsepower, but the Mack's 330 at the wheels, right? And it's got 4 counter shafts in the tranny, and it's got the big depth center, like it's a truck.
Yeah, and you look at the weights on the other ones, and it's pretty obvious where the steel is, compared to where who's got the steel and everything in them and stuff. So
and again, it comes down to a service thing too, because like for us, I don't want a guy to call me up and say I tore this up. I don't want that. I'd rather have the machine just stop.
Right.
And you can tear one up. Like, we've had guys that are hard enough on that you can, like with the heavy, like it takes a lot.
Oh yeah,
like a lot. Like we've seen like wedges twist and like stuff like that, but nothing major. Normally, if a guy has been forcing it real bad, and more often than not, the guy calls you up, says, "Hey, we bent this all to hell, and I can't believe we did it." But and then you like more often than not, we'll warn you for him. Like if the guy is polite and nice to like.
Yeah.
I'd rather see somebody do well than give somebody a hard time. If somebody's nice and they call us up, we'll bend over backwards for them.
And you have talked about this since day one we started doing these live streams. This exact same thing. I don't know how many more times we have to say it. Treat people with respect. Gets you a lot further.
If you're nice to people, right? People will be nice right back to you. I tell my 7-year-old that every single day. If somebody's not being nice to you, just kill them with kindness.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, 100%. Here's Jason. It's the welding for me. I can't stand seeing spotty welds on a splitter. I have checked my 1222 top to bottom. She's done right.
That's what
we've got good tradesmen. We have guys that care about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you see it. You do. You see it in the equipment, right? Everybody's looking at that. You're running a splitter, right? I'm checking, making sure things aren't cracked. It gets abused. it's wood. It's getting abused.
And just like Jason said, like a lot of the times we send these, like especially a machine of like of this caliber, a lot of the guys we're sending these out to aren't guys that were born yesterday. They're guys that have been around the block. They've done stuff. They've built stuff. Like a lot of them are tradesmen themselves, so you don't know that they want something right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's for sure. I've heard some of the stories, and it's like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. I don't get how it happened. But
no,
so if there's a will, there's a way.
I've seen guys that could bend a bowling ball into, but at the end of the day, as long as you're nice, we'll look after you.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody, Brian up there said, he said shops might be the same, but Easton made customer service is by far the best. And then that goes back to where he's talking about Jason's talking about the welds. And that's the way I am. I mean, when I walk out the machine or anything, I'm looking at the build quality on it. You know, that's what's important to me is how well it's built. You know, as long as it's built well, and it's gonna hold up long term, you know.
Yeah, it's even the little things like the paint, like powder coating it, like the difference.
Oh, yeah.
I see the difference in
I
that.
think we're probably the only people that are building a big process right now that's actually powder coating the whole thing. The only thing we don't powder coat is hydraulic tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, we powder coat the hydraulics. The only thing we don't sandblast as a hydraulic tank. We powder coat them. We don't blast them. We clean them really well. And the only reason we don't blast them is just to keep the dirt out of them, right?
No.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which
and that powder coating is important, and it's costly too, because I would hate to know what that cost you to set that up back in the day to get that going.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's really, really expensive to buy the equipment and buy the stuff to do it. But once you're up and going, it's far, far, far cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Like that to actually put powder coat on than liquid paint. You're not dealing with thinners. You're not dealing with waste. There's little to no waste with it. The difference in switching to powder coat for us is a difference in it makes a payment on the equipment.
Mm-hmm. All right. Very cool. Very cool. All right.
We got Joe is in the house. It was great seeing you at the PB Cav, Paul Bunyan. Hi Andrew. Hi Cotton Top. We have 70s forecasted next week, but sales are still on fire. You got to be loving the 70s, Joe. You can still bust out the shorts.
Doing great, yeah.
Thanks, Joe. And we have Ted's in the house. Howdy, Kev, Andrew, and Tim. Sorry I'm late to the party. That's all right, Ted. He's a great guy.
It was really great to see all these guys at Paul Bunyan. You're gonna have to come next year, Tim. It was so great to see all these guys actually put a face and name and have a conversation with them. All these guys are completely and totally amazing. I can't say enough good about them.
It's crazy from like the time I met you down there, Tim, to now, to like how much that show has grown. Like it's the grounds are still about the same size, but the amount of people there now is crazy. Especially on Friday. I couldn't believe how busy Friday was.
Traffic through there on Friday, traffic through there all weekend, it was nuts. I could not believe the draw, the amount of people there.
Yeah.
Like I've done some good ones before. That was a pile of people. Mm-hmm. And it was great because, again, it's people that you don't normally get to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Friday is just for because it's work day for that many people to come through like that. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
and it's funny too because typically on shows what we find is Fridays are the days where like the contractor guys are there, the guys that work themselves are there on Fridays. And then you get the weekend warrior guys, the guys that have a normal job, they're doing stuff on the side sort of thing on Saturdays. But there was really no difference this go around. Like it was good traffic the whole time and just an amazing group of people. Like I can't say thank you enough to all the people who came over and said hello.
Yeah, it was crazy. We got another. Where are you? Where'd you go? There we are. We got Mike Morgan's here. How you doing, Mike?
There you go.
I think outdoors with the Morgans. It might make it on to the Tuesday episode of Easton Made. They gave me a present down there, and it might be on a Tuesday's video here. Just fire's on now. I gotta start another one. So,
well, Mike, maybe you make it on here on a Saturday night. Send me an email. This was great. So this, Andrew and Samantha, how many splitters sold at PB?
I think there was 18 or 20, somewhere around there is what was actually orders at the show.
Oh, wow. And everything there was sold.
Everything was there was sold. Yeah, that wasn't our best year, though. We were at Paul Bunyan show in 2019. I think we sold 36.
Wow.
It was a crazy show. Not near the traffic as this year, though.
No, it's crazy. They're saying holy smokes, that's a lot, and it is, but you get that traffic through and you see it, right?
Well, a lot of people underestimate how important the shows are in going through there in the foot traffic and people being able to touch and feel and you get in there and you get to mixing and mingling. And you can make the sales. You can.
Yes.
They come through, and you can make the sales. That's why the stuff with Rotobeck that I did for them for years. Bringing the foot traffic through there, very, very important, man. Because the spinoff of that stuff, you may sell 30 units at the show, right there, but you may sell another 50 or 60 on down the road that you didn't know about.
Huge.
That's where the rubber meets the road is right there.
Yeah. And like for us, it was something that was really cool because I've been doing the YouTube thing for probably about 2.5, 3 years consistently now. Like at the point where it's crucial, right? Or that we need to do it, or that it's something I enjoy doing. But it's hard to see that through a screen.
Mm-hmm, sure.
When you go to a show and you get talking to people and people recognize you so well, you really realize how much of an impact that actually has on it.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah, and the other thing too, people can compare, right? There's other, there was American was there, there was Beep Beep was there, and
yeah, and the nice thing is you can go in this industry, like with the guys that manufacture stuff, they're all such great guys too. Because you can go and have a visit with these guys and talk about hunting or fishing or what was going on last week or whatever. Like all of them are great, and I try to tell people that too. Like if you're in this industry and looking at a commercial splitter or processor, I don't think you're going to go wrong buying from anybody, because like everybody's just the same. They're just guys that are trying to feed their families and put some jingle in their pocket and build good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you get into this commercial end of that's what it is. They're just everybody's really down to earth and great to get along with. So
yeah. Ted's saying he loves the shirt, Tim.
Appreciate that. Yeah, man. I like it. I was trying to figure out what to wear tonight, and I just grabbed something out of the daggone drawer, man. I throwed it on and stuff. I pulled out like 3 or 4.
One you searched for it.
Yeah, I don't like.
I had a lot of options, mate. I had the hometown acres, and I had the in the wood yard. Yeah, I had a lot of options. I think it was close between Firewood at the Ferns. It was pretty close between Brad and Chris there tonight, but Chris's shirt was below the in the wood yard one, so it was on the top, so it had to go on.
Right.
Ted brought that up as well for the logo. And these shirts, I don't know what brand they are, but they are super nice. I like.
I don't think Stacy's taking hers off. She's actually wearing it right now. So thanks, Brad.
We got Kevin with all the YouTubers going to PB. It's just going to get even busier with the personalities of all y'all are so humble and so enjoyable to watch. Well, thank you. But it's meeting everyone. Like for us, it's meeting everyone. That's what I like. That's what I love.
Oh, yeah. No, it's absolutely not like for me. It's no different than going to the hunting camp and shooting the shit with the guys. It's exactly the same. Just enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
And it's nice putting a face to the name too. There's a bunch of guys I met down there. I've seen them on my comments and in the chat all the time, and to be able to meet him, I didn't even realize he was there, standing right next to him, and just kind of started small talk, and I'm like, oh, that's who you are, or I didn't realize.
Oh yeah, 100%,
yeah. So we kind of touched on this one already. Ambitions to build a sawmill.
No.
Yeah, build what you know.
I think one of the fun things too. It's later tater, is it?
That's right. Right. Yeah.
When we were in Bangor, there were, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, whenever it was, you had this family there and doing an interview with them, Tim, and it was a little kid, maybe 7 or 8 years old, and mother and father, and all of them knew later tater, and they were just so excited to say it. It was just that completely, totally made my day.
Oh yeah,
this little kid about 7 or 8 years old. He was just so excited he got to say it. It was
and
great.
Then they go back and they watch it. They watch it in the video, and they're just enamored by it. And they're just it eats them up, man. They love it. And just to be able to and that's just simple stuff. I mean, that's nothing like. I mean, it's not like anything major. No, nothing. But it just is the biggest thing about like the YouTube personalities and meeting people is what it boils down to ultimately is the people being able to relate to you. Yeah. And that's all it is. Like you take some superstar that they see at a movie theater or something, they march to a different beat. They've got plenty of money, and they're rolling around in a different atmosphere, and so they're hard to relate to. But the common working guy, like us, everybody can relate, and they see the trials and tribulations that we all go through and do. And so if you go to a show or something, they want to come meet, they want to shake hands, and everything, just because they can relate to you, like you were talking about the family.
Yeah. There's Chuck from Iron and Oak saying the same thing. Great meeting everybody. We got Mike Morgan. It's motivating to meet everyone. We normally just see views and comments, but in person makes it better. And
that's correct.
After Mike and Melissa both stood there, it must have been for 4 hours. I didn't see them take one break, like one getting a drink or going to the bathroom or anything. Like, I couldn't believe it. They stood there and met every single person in line. I ended up seeing Mike go. He was coming down into the show after doing that, and he didn't look like he wanted to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And he kind of came towards me, and I'm like, I just wanted to say hi, and just to say hi, like he's there, right? And let him carry on his way. And he was nice enough, and we chatted for a minute or two, and he carried on his way. But it was nice he still actually spent that time with him, even though I know he just did it for, I swear, 4 hours. But
hey, the shows are grueling. Yeah, man. If it's hardcore steady traffic, I mean, I don't know that I've ever been give out as much as what I am sometimes, like doing tree work or whatever, or running a saw all day long, as I am doing the shows. But at the end of the day, it's all worth it. But man, you just get to the point where when it's over with, it takes you a day or two to kind of get back, reorient it with things. You don't want to see anybody or talk to anybody too much, So it's kind of crazy. But
Mike was actually asking on your 57, how many hours, and is it holding up all right?
Yeah, it's I've got almost 1,200 hours on it now, and so far it's held up well. I have not turned a wrench on that machine other than servicing it since I've had it. And you know, I have people ask me all the time, you know, why didn't I get a cab? Well, I didn't actually. When I bought the machine, I didn't buy it to run it to pay for it. And had I known at the time what I could potentially do with the machine, I would have bought something very different. I would have got a cab. I would have done something, you know, a lot different than I did. And so I'm hoping this next year, that's probably one of my purchases this next year. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to keep the 57, though. I won't get rid of it because I'd be crazy to get rid of it because, you know, again, I hadn't done anything to it since I've had it. And so it's bulletproof. And I have the only complaint I have about that machine is where the auxiliary is to activate your auxiliary hydraulics on it. You got to hit it on that console every time, and I'm not crazy about that. I wish that it was tied into the pilot lever, so that when you flip the pilot lever down, everything was active. But on the Kubota, it's not. The auxiliary is still not active. Which, if you're just running a bucket and thumb, a lot of times you're not going to run the auxiliary all the time. But I mean, every time I get on mine, I'm hitting the aux button, you know, every time. And that's the only complaint that I have. But I think for the money and for the dealer network that you have, the Kubota, and Andrew was talking about the engines a while ago, you cannot, the value of the Kubota, especially if you're wanting to get started, you cannot beat it. I mean, you cannot beat it. It's the value is there. And there's so many dealers around that sell the Kubota too, you know, and you can about go anywhere and get stuff.
Yeah, that's Mike's biggest thing. Feels the same every time you flip the bar up. You got to hit it again.
Yeah, and I tell you, I've been in some jams on that thing, man. You know, a lot of times I'm working by myself, and so I'm holding a tree up and I bore it, and I make my back cut out. And I need to get to the machine real quick to go ahead and help the tree or whatever I'm going to do. And in the rash of trying to hop on the machine and get on it real quick, I flip the thing down, and I may have a little bit of grip on the tree, and I forget to hit the aux button, even with 1,200 hours on it, me running it. And all of a sudden, there I am. I'm in a nosedive going over, you know, and everything because I got a hold of the tree, and I'm like, you know, if I'm fixing to get launched out the front of that thing, you know, and I've been in some bad situations on that thing a couple of times with it because of that, you know, and I wish that now the 57-5, the new series, they did put the aux button on the joystick.
It is, yeah. That's the way Dad's is. I've been running Dad's last week, and that's why his is. It's right on the thumb.
And so that's more convenient. I can live with that, but I'm not reaching to the console no more. I'm not doing it no more on the next machine I buy, I tell you.
So your next tractor you buy, are you going to get a cab on that to keep you away from the bumblebees?
Yeah, I probably will. You know, you know that that was bad. I got him, man. Let me tell you. I got in 3 bumblebees and 3 bumblebee nests in that one field. And this field ain't but about 2 acres, 2.5 acres, man. And I'm like, what the heck? And then lo and behold, I get the stump grinder. The first day I run the stump grinder, I get in a bumblebee nest. And, you know, stump grinder, if you ever run a stump grinder, shrapnel is flying everywhere. So I wear my helmet with the screen on it. I got a screen that, well, I see this thing come flying up between the screen and my face, and I just thought it was a chunk of wood that ricocheted. But when it stung me up there on my forehead, that's when I was like, I'm gone, y'all. I took off across this field. I had bumblebees all over my shirt, but that was the only one that stung me. But the cool thing was the stump grinder runs off a remote control. So, of course, when I was running, the remote controls around my neck. So I could drive the stump grinder out. I didn't have to get close to it. And, of course, I seen where they were coming out of the ground, and I just ground through their nest. Yeah. But, man, I had a heck of a run of bumblebees this summer. And I got 2 yellow jackets nests last week doing some tree work, man.
Wow,
that's funny.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
We'll do a couple more. Andrew, what's your favorite firewood saw?
I like my 370. Honestly, guys, I don't run enough chainsaws to be able to tell you one way or the other. Like
Okay, Tim?
I run Delmars,
Yeah.
I've run Huskies, I've run Still, I've run just about everything. But like I really like my 372. It's if you're blocking firewood, but again, like if you're just blocking firewood, you don't need to swing it all day. You can run a big saw, and like the thing that a lot of people I think miss with a saw is any saw is going to work really well, but you got to learn how to file it.
Yep.
Oh yeah. You can have
if you don't have a sharp saw, there's no point in you having a saw.
I tell people all the time, they're talking about their saw and they've got it poured and polished and blah blah this and blah that. None of that matters. What ultimately matters is how good a cutting system you got on the end of that thing, man. How sharp that chain is and how good that bar is.
Yep.
That's where the rubber meets the road, man.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that a lot of people miss, like in terms of the performance of a saw, is running too big of a barrel. Like if you need it, absolutely, but like if you're not doing real big stuff, the difference is spinning that extra 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches. That's a lot of mass you're trying to spin around and wind up again.
It is.
A lot. Like for something with a motor that's that big to wind up an extra pound or 2 pounds of chain or bar or whatever.
Oh yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, 100%.
That's big.
It's funny. A lot of times at the saw classes, I'll have people that'll have a saw with a long bar on it, and it may have had some work done on it, and everything. And it's funny because they cannot finesse it because it's so long and it's so much mass out there. They're having trouble finessing it and making boring with it, and everything. And so it's funny as this class goes, they'll end up with one of my saws in their hands with a, like a 20-inch bar or something like that, working with it, because then they figure out that, dang, I can actually like carve with this thing, if I want to. I can, if I want to cut right here, I can cut right here, because I've actually had some bad situations, out where we've actually, at the end of the saw class, we went and cut down real trees. And I tell the guys, I say, look, whatever you do not cut through your hinge. Don't cut through. I've had 2 or 3 that have blown through hinges. And luckily, there was enough of us there when it happened to actually manhandle the tree and make it do what we needed it to do, almost like a machine. There's 7 or 8 of us just grab a hold of the tree and just shove it over, because all of a sudden he doesn't blow through a hinge and eyes are this big, trees doesn't sit down on the saw, and you got a tree, you don't know where it's fixing to go, and everything. So it's crazy.
Well, we're almost 2 hours into this, so I think we should wrap this up.
Man, yeah, I've enjoyed it, dude.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed
it.
It was
fun. Nice, good laugh.
It's always fun doing these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anyway, I appreciate it, Tim, taking the time out and sitting down with us.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to find any of us, you can find Tim. Where can we find you?
Just everything is CottonTop3. YouTube's CottonTop3, Instagram, all my emails, the Yahoo's CottonTop3, Gmail's CottonTop3, everything is CottonTop3.
There you go. Google CottonTop3. You'll find them.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Find you.
I'm Eastimate. I'll be Eastimate somewhere.
That's right.
Eastimate, the 1-800 number.
1-800 Eastimate.
And if you're looking for me, Skitter Kev, same thing. YouTube, Instagram, I'm on there. And same with Gmail, same thing. You want to get a hold of me, feel free. Anyway, guys, thanks for all your time. Thanks the 2 of you guys for coming on. I appreciate it, Tim and Andrew. Awesome.
Anytime. Just let me know. We'll line it up, man.
Yeah, for sure.